Hey yo, good morning. So there's a bunch of trainer Pokemon over here on the Happy Exchange, and I had a horrible idea of, well, making a tier list based on those. This idea was also based on a comment that I got asking to review those Pokemon, so that's exactly what we are going to do. But before we start, a quick disclaimer. These Pokemons can cost Fire Books, Grounded Books, or Unishards. And if you are spending Unishards for that Pokemon, you should already have Overlord Latios and Latias. If you don't have Overlord Latios and Latias, and if you want something strong on your account, you need to get them first before even thinking about getting other fancy Pokemon. Also, Aptoid is giving a bonus of 30% on your recharge on the June 30. All you have to do is using my code NEV1 when you are recharging with Aptoid. That way you are not only helping yourself by getting a 30% bonus, but you are also helping the channel. And with that out of the way, let's get into the tier list. Now, all of these pictures were taken from Legends Club. A reminder that we have a Pokédex over here on the Legends Club. We actually have a database with a bunch of interesting stuff, and for this tier list I'm going to be brutally honest, so if I think that a Pokemon sucks, I will tell it straight away. First we have Ash Snorlax, and even though the abilities seem interesting, this seems like an extreme early game Pokemon, and honestly, no, bye. And since we are on the normal types, let's take a look at the Serena's Eevee. This Eevee could work as a baton pass Pokemon, increasing like a lot of stats for herself and then just, well, transferring, well, as it says over here, name of the skill, baton pass. So basically it copies all the buffs of this Eevee and transfers to a random Pokemon. But again, it's a normal type. We have like no normal weather buffers. There's no way of making this Eevee move. Even though very interesting Pokemon indeed, but it's not playable. So Eevee, I'm sorry, you're going down there as well. And now, Misty Starmie, it can get a lot of damage reduction for itself. But that's the problem, it's for itself. It does not buff like your allies, and of course, you are not going to use this Pokemon as a main attacker because, well, technically, look at the skill powers. Yeah, it's not that big of a damage dealer, so I yeet. Sorry, Starmie, down there as well. Okay, maybe the Misty Psyduck will actually change things over here. Because technically, Misty Psyduck can actually be useful, because if you are playing it with any Psychic or Water type, every time that they release Water or Psychic type skills, it increases the speed for all ally Pokemon by 8% for 3 rounds, can be stacked 3 times, and increases special attack for Psyduck, but like nobody cares, nobody's going to play Psyduck. And if the enemy is attacked by water type skills, like from your Pokemon, it inflicts at ease. At ease is basically something that Psyduck can use to actually stun the target, decreasing speed of the targets, etc. But we are not expecting Psyduck to move, but still, just because of the passive, all of that speed that Psyduck can provide, etc. can actually be useful, so Psyduck needs a little bit of love. At least B tier, I want to put it on A tier, but maybe not. It will stay at least on the B tier. Now, Ash Pika is known by being actually a decent damage dealer at like mid-game, let's say it that way. Mostly because it also, well, the problem is that it has a low hit rate, as we can see over here. 75% hit rate, it's not something that you really enjoy, but it has a high crit rate, which is something that players are missing in like the early mid-games. Players don't have much crit rate and whatever. And also with an ultimate that is 200 skill power, you are usually going to one-shot any enemy that is not resistant to electric type. And when I say any enemy, I meant like a lot of enemies. Of course, you are not going to one-shot tanks. And you know, you can actually have Overlord Ash Pikachu, which is actually very nice. I used it myself, I enjoyed it a lot, but I would not recommend spending 1000 Firebooks because that's the current price of this Overlord Pikachu. If it comes cheaper on an event, I would for sure get it, but like 1000 Firebooks, you probably have other goals to just save up on your account. And not just that, the Ash Pikachu is also necessary to be able to clear the legendary journey I Choose You, which can reward you with a Mount Tensei Wish Star, which can be very nice in a lot of situations. So with all of that said, I believe Pikachu actually deserves a S tier. But let's go to the other Pikachu. We have over here the Detective Pikachu, which is basically a buffer as well. On the passive, we have like in the battle at the beginning of each round, all of our allied Pokemon, we get like 10% physical physical attack, special attack, and defenses for 1 round. Not just that, he also has a buff over here that increases all the crit rate for your team and decreases all of the enemy's defenses by 40%. This buff is for 3 rounds. It should give this magnifier buff to your Pokemon, because over here on the ultimate it says that it will increase the action points, so basically makes all of the Pokemon move again, but all of the Pokemon that have the magnifier effect. So technically it seems like a really decent buffer on paper. The problem is that if this is a buffer, you need a way to move it, so early game, if you want to just have a solid team around this, you would need probably a Zeraora to play with that, so that Zeraora can make that Pikachu move and then have some kind of an electric type attacker to go along with that. So overall, an interesting buffer. I would put it on A tier or B tier. So actually, let's put it before Psyduck. I feel like it offers a lot of utility, like same as Psyduck, but Psyduck does not need to move, and Pikachu needs to move, and it's kind of hard to pull it off. And then again, Pikachu would only work on an electric team. Going to Ash Charizard, we actually have a really decent passive to play with fire type Pokemon, or Pokemon that have fire type skills, and we have actually decent skill power, especially on the ultimate, that will deal extra damage if the enemy is already burning, which enhances the need of playing this Pokemon possibly with fire type teammates. Can be a decent damage dealer like mid game, but of course none of these Pokemons will just stay around for the late game. And well, not just that. Remember the legendary journey that we were talking a while ago? Sadly, you need Ash Charizard to complete this journey, so if you really want this wish star over here, Star of the Mount Tensei, well, you need to get yourself an Ash Charizard. So because of being important for a wish star, he's mostly going for the A tier. Now we have Maze. Blaziken is actually also an interesting attacker, but honestly, you struggle to have teams for these kinds of Pokemon. You could actually play it in a fighting team, since Maze Blaziken is fire and fighting and also has a fighting type attack. But the strongest attack of this Pokemon is the ultimate, which is Detonation. It hits for like 140 skill power and double the damage if it crits, and technically if you have the passive applied, it will turn into non-type, it will have extra crit rate and crit damage, so it feels like it actually has a lot of potential. But the problem is like that you would need to play this as a main attacker, and I really don't like suggesting these Pokemons using them as a main Pokemon, because you can just save up for other things in the future. So I kind of want to have a tier over here, something like this, where both of these like would have the same meaning, like B2, something like that. And we have like a B tier with damage dealers that could be like decent early game. Then we have like the B2 tier, which is like buffers and supporters. And still on the fire types, we have Ash Ketchum's Litten, which has an interesting passive. All enemy Pokemon will have 40% chance of it being inflicted with burn when being attacked by fire types, and reducing their physical and special attack as well by 3 rounds. But honestly, like everything else is kinda meh. And especially this Flare Blitz, which increases all ally Pokemon other than ally fire types. Like what? You increase everybody's actions except fire types, but you are meant to be played with fire types. Like, hello? So now the words no, I don't like it, it's going to stay down there, bye. And then we have the typical Ash Infernape. Now Ash Infernape used to be a star in the early days of Pokeland, mostly because of his passive, which he increases like his physical and special attack by 20% every time there's a fire or fighting type skill being released. And not just that, we also have a skill that increases the damage by 10% for each 10% of rage that the Pokemon has. So if your Ash Infernape is ready to use his ultimate, he will have the most damage with the skill. We also have a fire skill that increases the speed and whatever, and rage, and then we also have close combat, which basically makes this Ash Infernape unkillable for 1 round. And all of this with like his main damage dealing skills being fighting type, it's very good to be played in a fighting type team. And when I mean fighting type team, I mean like Cobalion, Virizion, Terrakion. If you have like any of those, he's actually quite playable for you like your early mid game. So Mr. Ash Infernape is going over here with Blaziken, probably even higher than Blaziken. I kind of want to place it over here because I feel like he's much better than Blaziken. Now, Ash Sceptile actually sounds interesting on paper, like really interesting. I could have an idea of a team of what I could play with Ash Sceptile, like something like Ash Sceptile, Overlord Kartana, and maybe Overlord Melmetal. But the problem is, like, we don't have Overlord Tapu Bulu. Grass types in this game, like, just like any other game, like, you look at the grass type and be like, bleh? Like, no, please. Like, look at the grass types. You see anything interesting over here? Are you going to deal damage with the Celebi? Maybe not. Like, Overlord Kartana is your best shot, but yeah, sorry. Grass types down there. Yeah, bye. Sadly, when I was a new player, I really enjoyed Hawlucha's skills. It sounded like very interesting on paper, but no, sadly Hawlucha needs to go down there. And last but not least, we have the Brock's Onix, which actually has access to heavy armor. It has like a lot of defenses as well. Every time he gets attacked, he gets like defenses and speed. This is basically like a stamina ability, which he just stacks up to 10 times. Every time this Pokemon moves, it will dispel all the debuffs. Also, we have the Harden ability, which increases his defenses by 50%, and like all of your teammates by 25% for 4 rounds, and also 50% tenacity to all of your ally Pokemon. Tenacity is what makes you immune to crit, so it's actually quite nice. And it has like other interesting attacks. Now this Pokemon, honestly, it's quite good. I want to put it over here and maybe over here on the A tier. Like, it's something between those tiers. The only problem is that it will probably only work on the mid game. From the moment that your main attacker has like double or triple the speed of your supports, this Onix would not be as good. Still, very nice Pokemon to be in a tanky team. I like this Pokemon a lot. It used to be meta to make like your Pokemons even tankier, but now that the meta of Pokeland is like late game, you put like all of your stats on your main attacker and make your attacker super fast, you don't really want supports like Onix that need to move in order to apply their buffs. And hey, this was the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next time. Peace. And for this tier list, I am going to be brutally honest. So if I think is... And for this tier list, I'm going to be brutally... And for this tier list, I'm going to be And for this tier list, I am going to be brutally honest.